and good morning, and a warm welcome to you. Today is Saturday, June 13th, 2026, and today's energy is Choose Your Direction. So that will be our title for today's transmission. So, my name is Libby. If you're new here to the channel, we take a look at the day's energy each day based on Vedic Astrology and Tarot, and then just practical wisdom and asking some simple questions of ourselves to sort of guide us forward and using the energy for our highest self. So, how can I work with today's energies? I love to know that every day because, like you, I am working towards my highest self. So, go ahead and grab your cup of coffee, your tea, whatever you're sipping on today, and let's spend just a few minutes together. How is everyone? I hope everyone is well. So, yesterday's new moon, that energy was all about release. So we spoke primarily about releasing things yesterday, what no longer serves us, what we're ready to purge or leave behind that's not serving us in any way. What were we ready to clear away so that something new could come in and grow for our highest good. Today feels different. The energy has shifted a little bit. The clearing has already happened, though we might not realize what we cleared. Sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't. But the question now becomes for today, what are you choosing to build? So today is not necessarily about dramatic action or forcing outcomes. That's a part that's very similar to yesterday. It's not really a day to figure out our entire futures, luckily. Instead, it's much simpler today. It's that one aligned step towards our highest good. What's that one thing? Just one is all that's really required of us in this energy today to figure out our next move. Not 10, not 100, just one. So it might be the phone call that you need to make, the promise to go on the walk that you are working on your health goals, or maybe that healthy meal preparation. You're going to prepare one healthy meal for yourself. One page written, if you're going to be an author or you're doing some work, you're sitting down to do some thinking and trying to make some progress, or that one conversation you've been putting off, or that you've just been too busy to have, or maybe it's that one act of forgiveness that will affect today's energy for your highest good in the best possible way. And we can ask for forgiveness physically in front of people, but we can also just ask for forgiveness in our heart, and we don't actually always have to face the person or the issue or the situation. So today's asking us for that 1 degree of change, which I've spoken about often here. Sometimes that 1 degree, that one shift in change that we do, causes the transformation versus changes happening all at once. Some big transformation where our life shifts from we were here and now we're here. And that honestly would be a little too much for us anyway. So oftentimes transformation happens very quietly, almost invisibly. That's at least what I have found. Sometimes I do realize the transformation much later and when it started, but it wasn't always visible to me right in that moment. So that one small repeated decision on purpose, with intention, consistently over time, it can completely change the direction of your life. So try that 1 degree strategy. That's the energy that's surrounding us today anyway, as far as taking action goes. But we don't want to necessarily force. It's not about intensity today. The energy is about being consistent. The energy today is not necessarily about perfection. It's more about progress. The energy today is not necessarily about certainty. It's about commitment. It's about stewardship, which is similar a little bit to yesterday's energy in that way. One of the chapters in my book, or my manuscript, I should say, is the wise mind. I have used this in counseling, where you connect your emotional mind and your logical mind, and you kind of marry those two, and that's where most of your wise brain decisions come from. I've used that in counseling so much, and it's been helpful to me too in my personal life, just to use it as a strategy. So we think about, what are we feeling? Then what are we thinking? That's where the two come together. It's your heart mind connection. It's where they sit together and they have a short conversation, and that's what today's energy feels like, actually, is that wise mind thinking, making that one decision that's wise on your behalf. Now, a lot of people wait until, and I'm one of them, so I'm the pot calling the kettle black here, but most of us wait until we feel completely certain about taking an action. We want to be completely certain about it all, okay? But certainty often is the result of movement, doing a little bit of movement and taking that forward action. So the path, at least for me, usually becomes clearer as a result of that movement. We walk in the path. We see what's not clear yet because we're walking it. We don't really walk the path because we're already clear in it. So if you're feeling uncertain today, then that's okay. So we don't have to know the whole plan. That's not today's energy. Today's energy is, do I know my next step? If the answer to that is yes, then that's enough. And if it's not, then sit with the energy just a little bit. So spiritually, the day feels quite meaningful. I personally believe in the ontology. I believe life is full of meaning. I don't believe much is very random at all. I don't believe a lot in consequences. I mostly believe in seasons of life and lessons and patterns and opportunities. Things arriving exactly when we need them. And most of the time, that's true. And today feels like one of those days where paying attention matters. So the art of noticing. Notice and pay attention to what keeps returning to your awareness. Notice those recurring thoughts. Notice those recurring ideas. Notice conversations that seem to keep carrying the same or a similar message. Notice what keeps calling for your attention. Not because you want to overanalyze everything, but because sometimes life whispers to us. Often life whispers to us through our intuition, long before it speaks loudly to us. Now, you can look for the good and notice lots of good. That's where you know you need to probably put your focus, put your intention, where those things keep recurring that are meaningful and positive and good for you. Also, those no's that we keep getting, those are also meaningful and helpful because they might be unhealthy or toxic to us. So it's not emotional like in a dramatic sense, okay? The energy around relationships today is going to feel, love and relationships, it's going to feel intentional. So that's kind of today's message. Everything feels intentional. It's not dramatic, like I said, but intentional. So if you've been waiting for someone else to change, then go back today to what can you change? So I would ask myself, what can I change? What kind of relationship am I creating? What kind of standards am I living by? What kind of relationship do I actually want? Sometimes we need to sit with ourselves and figure that out, because we may need to form some boundaries around a situation, a person, or a relationship. What boundaries support the kind of love I want? I need to think about that. Be intentional about that. What action or actions are going to actually honor what my heart feels to be important? For some people, that's reaching out. For some people, for others, it's letting go of what no longer is serving us. For others, it may simply be showing appreciation to someone who's just been there all along for you. And that doesn't have to be a romantic thing necessarily, though it could be. So let's move along to today's energies as it relates to our career, our purpose, and maybe our life path somehow. So this may be the strongest theme of the day today. A lot of us are standing at the edge of something. Now, the edge also can sometimes look like a cliff, which can be quite frightening. But standing on the edge of a business, a dream, a hope, a project at work, a transition in our life, a new direction in our life that we're contemplating. And the temptation, at least for me, is always keep planning, keep researching, keep preparing, looking for that certainty. Because I want to get it right, because my life is important to me. And it gives you that feeling of urgency emotionally. But today's energy says, what can you do today? Not what can you do next month, not when the conditions are perfect, but what can you do today with intention? A lot of us, I think, stay trapped in our dreams. We spend years waiting on certainty. I worked in education, so I had to be certain before I even spoke to a parent or a child or a colleague. And many of you, though you may not be in education, if you work in the real world, you want to be certain and you want to be careful. Like I said, our lives are important to us. So a lot of our dreams, our hopes and dreams stay trapped because of that. Meanwhile, someone out there is just taking an imperfect step and they're discovering things right along the path. Now, it might be hit or miss. Just as making these videos, I'm seeing that some things just, I go back and watch them and I think, oh my gosh, I got to change that. I don't really like that. I don't really want to come across that way or whatever. So if you have a dream in your heart, today's energy says begin where you are. Use what you have at your disposals. Use your skills and habits that have supported you all along and take the next step. One step. All right, let's take a look at today's energy with finances and prosperity. That's always one I like to look at. So financially, the day feels a lot different than just some certain sudden opportunity or sudden windfall. It looks like stewardship throughout, and that includes our prosperity and our abundance. That one wise choice, organizing yourself in some way so that you feel a little more clear or have some clarity around your finances. Maybe that just involves opening up the bank app and checking to see how much you actually have in your checking account before you go spending. One budget decision, not sitting down and writing the whole budget for the next 10 years, but one budgetary decision, one investment toward your highest self. And depending on your financial situation, you can always make some sort of investment in yourself in terms of your most healthy financial self, because you want whatever one action you take, and it does not have to be profound, will move you toward greater stability. So if I go grocery shopping and I buy donuts, that's not moving me towards a healthier, more stable frame of mind in order to make good decisions on my behalf towards my finances. But if I go and I get items that are good for me and I nourish myself, well, that's one actual step towards making good decisions, which includes your stability towards your finances. So prosperity also often grows very quietly before anything becomes visible to us. And gratefulness. Always be grateful for where you are. The oak tree doesn't just appear overnight. It has a lot of contemplating, a lot of growth, a lot of changes to make. Abundance does not grow overnight, as we all well know. Stewardship helps our stability towards prosperity. Consistent, wise actions, those wise brain decisions we make. Consistent decisions towards prosperity. Those faithful actions, that brings prosperity and abundance. Let's talk lastly about our emotional growth. Emotionally, today's energy asks us to not become overwhelmed by the staircase. And much like yesterday, we're taking that one aligned step, that one positive, conscious decision towards our highest self emotionally. Our anxiety usually tries to solve our problems quite readily. And sometimes our anxiety wants us to solve our problems for next month, when really what we're doing is bringing ourselves back to today. Our emotions right now, today. What is yours to deal with today, emotionally? And then do that. And it does not have to be profound. It can be profound in its simplicity over time, consistently. And that brings positive results. Using your mind, body, and spirit to help your emotions evolve. So in the mind, you're choosing thoughts that support the future that you want to have. With your body, you're taking excellent care of it. You're drinking the water, you're getting outside, you're letting the sunshine touch your skin, you're moving your body. Or you're resting if that's what your body needs. Sometimes we have to rest our minds. We're tired, we're exhausted. Sometimes the energies make us tired and exhausted. And then for our spirit, spend some quiet, as I call it, not quiet moments with yourself. Yes, spend moments in quiet, but I say spend them in silence and solitude as much as you can get, and then listen. Listen to that inner spirit. Those answers are often very soft. They're softer than we expect. And in fact, we might feel like we don't get answers at all. That's why you want to sit in silence and solitude and listen. So before we close, I've pulled a tarot card today, and the Two of Wands stands out the most today. It's kind of staring across the horizon. He's got the world in his hands. He's looking out from his kingdom where he was, and his old world is behind him, and his future is in front of him. So he doesn't have the entire map. He doesn't know every turn, but he's chosen the direction, and he's holding his staff in one hand and the world in the other. His world, his future. And that's really today's message. You don't need the entire map. We don't need to know how everything is going to turn out. We need the courage to take the next aligned step. And then usually once we take the next aligned step, what comes next is revealed to us. Sometimes we have to sit with it a little bit, but mostly what comes next becomes a lot more obvious. So the Two of Wands. nice energy for today's message. So I wrote an affirmation for you, or for us, and I'll read it to you now. I trust myself to take the next aligned step. I honor both my heart and my mind. I release the need to know everything before I begin. I move forward with faith, wisdom, and intention. And I think I will close there. I hope everyone has a happy day. I hope you enjoy your Saturday. I hope it's beautiful. And enjoy your weekend as well. Do something that makes you smile, that makes your heart happy. I'll see you tomorrow.